At exactly 9:47 p.m., a man was sitting in his living room watching a football live stream. As the match reached a tense moment, he suddenly heard a soft click coming from the bathroom. At first, he paid no attention, but just a few seconds later, the bathroom light turned on, then off, then on again, then off again. The flickering continued several times, each interval precisely 5 seconds apart. Far too regular to be a random electrical glitch. Assuming it was some kind of technical issue, he got up and walked toward the bathroom. But by the time he opened the door, the light had gone completely dark. The room was pitch black. The switch was still in the off position. There was no one inside, no sound, no unusual draft. Yet he had the distinct feeling that something, or someone, had just been there, only seconds before. Starting to feel uneasy, he quickly turned on all the lights and began checking every corner of the apartment. The kitchen, the balcony, the bedroom, even inside the closets. Everything was untouched. The front door remained locked from the inside. No signs of forced entry. The apartment was completely silent. Still, an icy chill crept down his spine. As he returned to the living room, making sure to relock the door securely, something deeply unsettling appeared. The TV was still playing the live stream, but in the corner of the screen, the camera caught a faint reflection in the glass door behind him, and in that reflection, he saw a shadowy figure. It was standing perfectly still, right in front of the bathroom door, its head slightly tilted.
I gotta show you guys I'm actually alone. Look at this bullshit. Look at this bullshit. Look. Turning on the light. As soon as I walk in. Okay. Closing the door. Yo. Yo. I'm telling you, anytime I walk in, there's like literally nobody. This has been going on for like a couple days now, dude. Look, watch. I'll turn on the light. Okay? Nobody. Behind the door, nobody. Okay? Going through this freaking door, which is really scary in here. Nobody. Guys, tell me what the fuck is going on.
One night, inside a small studio room with only a few recording devices, a table, and an old wooden chair placed in the center, something unexplainable began to happen. The surveillance camera was operating normally, and at exactly 2:37 a.m., a strange and unsettling event took place. The chair, with no one sitting on it, no wind, and no vibrations, began to gently bounce. At first, it was just a slight tremble. Then suddenly, it started rocking harder. Creaking sounds echoed throughout the room, the high-pitched screech of wood scraping against the floor, long and sharp, with no apparent cause. The chair tilted to one side, as if someone invisible had just sat down, then stood back up. With each movement, it let out a sound that resembled a raspy laugh from beyond the grave. There was no one in the room, no remote control, yet the camera recorded everything. And the most chilling part, the chair's final movement stopped with it facing directly toward the lens, as if it was staring back at whoever was watching. This phenomenon left both the viewers and the owner of the studio completely shaken. unable to explain what had just occurred. So now the question remains, was it a ghost that sat on that old eerie chair? She was a sweet girl who loved dolls. She dressed them, fed them, and treated them like her own children. One day, she brought home an old porcelain doll from a flea market. Dusty, lifeless eyes and cold, cracked skin. She named it, cared for it, and even prepared meals for it. To outsiders, she seemed crazy, but she felt truly happy. That evening, under the dim kitchen light, she lifted a spoonful of mashed carrots to the doll's lips. And then, it moved. Her hands shook. She dropped the spoon and ran, heart pounding, breath frozen. Behind her, the doll stayed seated, staring silently, as if it wanted to say something. But she couldn't stay, not with that thing waiting for her. It was an early morning. A woman with a black scarf wrapped around her head had just woken up to get ready for the day. She stood in front of the mirror, putting on her makeup as usual, wearing the clothes she loved most. At first, everything seemed completely normal, until she noticed something very strange. Something that wasn't like every other day. Her reflection in the mirror was moving out of sync with her. She tilted her head to the left, but the reflection tilted to the right. She stopped, but the reflection kept moving. She stared into the mirror, horrified. Her heart pounded in her chest. She realized this was no ordinary mirror. It had been possessed by a ghost. one that looked exactly like her, and something was inside it, mimicking her every move. From that moment on, she never sat in front of that mirror again. She threw it away, along with the horror that haunted her home. A man arrived at the hospital in the middle of the night to visit a relative who had just been admitted after an accident. As he approached the emergency area, he suddenly froze. Right in front of him, there was a gurney, completely empty, with no one lying on it. But what made his skin crawl was the blanket on the gurney slowly pulling itself up, as if covering someone invisible. There was no wind, no one else around, only the buzzing sound of the fluorescent lights and the faint creak of the gurney wheels, awakening a deep fear inside the man. He quickly pulled out his phone and managed to record the bizarre phenomenon for just a few seconds before it vanished on its own. Immediately after, he left the emergency room and never returned again. It was a late night. The girl had just come home from work, only wanting to rest after a long and exhausting day. As she stepped through the front door, a strange feeling made her freeze. The air inside the house felt colder than usual. Everything was eerily silent. And then, a sudden force yanked hard on her shoulder, pulling at her white shirt. She screamed and turned around in a panic, but there was no one. No sound, no sign of anyone. Terrified and shaking, she made a quick decision to leave the house and get as far away as possible. And that turned out to be the right choice, because inside that house, something horrifying was waiting. A ghost that should never be disturbed. Thank you all for watching my video. If you found it interesting, please share this story with everyone. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button to support me.